When you take the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, you have the C major scale. If you take the same notes but start on the D to have D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you have the second mode of the C major scale. In the same way, you could start from the third, the fourth, or the fifth note of the major scale to have it third, fourth, or fifth mode. These are the modes that we call Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. So the question is, if all these scales use the same notes, how can they sound different? How can we compose a song in one of these modes without making it sound just like it's major or minor? This is the question we'll tackle today. I already did a video about scales and modes in the past. If the link doesn't appear in the corner of the screen, you'll find it in the description. But an easy way to remember the name of those modes is to remember the sentence, "I don't punch like Muhammad Ali." Each word would give you the first letter of each mode. That's how I remember them. So the Ionian mode is the major scale, and the Aeolian mode is the natural minor scale. We won't focus on these ones as they are already explored extensively in other videos, but we'll use them as references to see what is unique about every other mode. To make that comparison easier, I will write all the degrees relatively to the major scale. To show you what I mean, I'll do it with you. I'll write the degrees of the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They represent the chords made with the notes of this scale. And for the minor scale, for example, the first degree is 1, the second degree is 2, because there is the same distance between the two first notes than in the major scale, which is 1 tone. But for the third degree, it's 2 tones above the root note in a major scale, but it's only 1 tone and a half above the root note in a minor scale. So I'll note that flat 3 to indicate that it's 1 semitone below its equivalent in the major scale. In the same way, I will note the degrees 6 and 7, flat 6 and flat 7, because they are also 1 semitone below their major equivalents. And that's how I'll note the degrees for each mode. Now the first step would be to figure out what type of chord we can find on each degree of each of these modes, so we can compare them to the more common major and minor modes. So for example, we'll start with the Dorian mode. In D Dorian, the first chord will be a chord of D, and it will be made of the notes D, F, and A, which makes a chord of D minor. So the first degree of the Dorian scale will be a minor chord. The second chord will be a chord of E, and it will be made of the notes E, G, and B, which makes a E minor chord. So the second degree of a Dorian scale will be a minor chord. So we'll do that for every chord based on every note in the scale to find the type of chord for every degree. And then we'll do the same thing for every mode. Once it's done, we have this and we can begin to analyze the data. One thing to keep in mind is that a major scale and its relative minor scale use exactly the same notes. The difference comes from the fact that they take different notes at their tonal center as their first degree. It is then a matter of using the other chord of the scale to create tension and make this first degree feel like home. And that's where the authentic cadence and the plagal cadence come handy, because they resolved well on the first degree. If you need to refresh your memories on the cadences, I will leave a link in the description for the episode about that. This is important because if we want to make the first degree feel like home, the first degree needs to be a rather stable chord, and that makes the Locrian mode very difficult to use because its first degree is a diminished chord, and that's not a stable chord by essence. It is dissonant, so it brings attention that leads elsewhere, which means it will be very difficult to make that feel like a home chord. So we won't really focus on the Locrian mode in this video. So when we are using a mode, the goal of the game is to make the first degree of that mode feel like home, so that's often the chord we'll use the most. And then we'll gravitate toward the more unique chords of the mode we're using to get the particular flavor of that particular mode. To find these unique chords, we'll compare each degree to their equivalent in the major and minor tonalities. If the chord is different from the one we find in major or in minor, then it is unique and we keep it, otherwise we'll gray it out. So on the second degree, we have a minor chord in a major tonality and we have a diminished chord in a minor tonality. So I'll gray out these options from the other modes and keep the others. The third degree is minor in major and flat 3 major in minor. So I'll gray those out. The fourth degree is either a major or a minor chord, so we'll gray those out as well. And we'll do the same thing for all the degrees until we're left with this. Here we can notice that we don't have many options for the Dorian and the Mixolydian mode, but we can still notice some interesting combinations. In the Dorian mode, we have a first degree that is minor, like in a minor scale, but the fourth degree is major, like in a major scale. And that combination is interesting because a progression for 4 to 1 is a plagal cadence, but we are more used to hearing it fall on a major first degree, so having a minor first degree here is unique to the Dorian mode. In the Mixolydian mode, we have a major first degree, like in a major scale, but the 7th degree is flat and major, like in a minor scale. And we are also used to hearing this major 7th degree go up a whole tone to a minor chord, so having a major chord here instead highlights the unique color of the Mixolydian mode. So now that we have all this data highlighted, here is how to compose in each mode. In a Dorian mode, use mainly the minor first degree and the major fourth degree. That creates a plagal cadence that makes the first degree feels like home. And this home is a minor chord, which is particular to that mode. In a Phrygian mode, you can use mainly the minor first degree and the major flat 2, which is a bit like a triton substitution, which is also a cadence that resolves well on the first degree. It should help make it feel like home, and you can then throw the minor 7th degree in the mix. In a Lydian mode, you can use mainly the major first degree and the major second degree. You can also use the minor 7th degree, but the risk is that if you go from the 7th degree to the 1st degree, it would sound like the 1st and 2nd degree of the Phrygian mode. And in a Mixolydian mode, you can use mainly the major flat 7th degree with the major 1st degree. That's a chord change that we used to hear in minor tonality, but here the 1st degree is major, which makes it sound different. You can use some of the diminished chords in each of these modes as well, but they can sound too dissonant for the song you want to make. And it is totally okay to use just a very few chords, as they are the chords that will bring the color of the mode you want to use. Quick note before wrapping up this video, I have updated my big music theory cheat sheet. Now it includes the chords for all these modes, and they are highlighted in the same way than in this video. You have 12 pages, one for each root note, so you don't have to transpose any of that yourself. It should make it easier to make borrowings. For example, say you are composing in E minor and you don't want to use a diminished chord on the 2nd degree. Well, you could replace it with a F major chord and resolve it with a E minor chord. That would be a borrowing from the Phrygian mode. Or you could replace it with a F sharp minor chord and resolve it with a E minor chord as well. And that would be a borrowing from the Dorian mode. I have also added all the 9th chords for the major and minor scales. I have added some substitutions for the 5th degree and have also corrected a couple of mistakes that were in there. So I hope all is clean now, and you can find a link to download this document down below in the description. So I hope you have fun with this. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.